What if the beloved story of Snow White, the princess with skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony, was not merely a fairy tale, but the echo of an ancient prophecy spoken over 7,000 years ago? We know the version from Grimm's tales: a jealous queen, a poisoned apple, 7 dwarfs, and a girl trapped between life and death until love awakens her. But few realize that this story carries symbols far older than medieval Europe. Beneath the innocent disguise of a children's fable lies a message rooted in the earliest myths of humanity, a prophecy about purity, corruption, rebirth, and the eternal struggle between light and shadow. Scholars tracing oral traditions have found parallels between Snow White and myths that date back thousands of years. In Mesopotamia, Sumerian tablets tell of Inanna, a goddess who descends into darkness and is struck down, only to rise again. In ancient Egypt, the cycle of death and rebirth was symbolized by Isis and Osiris. And in the Proto-Indo-European world, fragments of myths describe maidens of light, pursued by jealous forces of darkness, each bound to a fruit or tree representing both life and death. Could Snow White be the survival of these ancient archetypes? Legends buried deep in forgotten scripts speak of a maiden of purity, described as skin of the moon, blood of the earth, hair of the void. This maiden would embody innocence itself, but her destiny was marked by betrayal. She would be struck down by a fruit of corruption, fall into a death-like sleep, and only return when the balance between worlds demanded her presence again. This prophecy, whispered across cultures, carried a warning. Purity would always be hunted by envy. Light would always be threatened by shadow, but renewal would always come at the appointed time. In the fairy tale, the poisoned apple is the queen's weapon. But in ancient myths, apples were never ordinary. They symbolized divine wisdom, forbidden knowledge, immortality, and temptation. From the Garden of Eden to the golden apples of the Hesperides, the fruit represented the thin line between salvation and ruin. When Snow White bites the apple, she is not just poisoned. She reenacts an ancient ritual, the fall of innocence, the betrayal of purity, and the inevitable descent into shadow. Her death-like sleep is the pause between worlds, the stillness before rebirth. And what of the 7 dwarfs? In the Grimm version, they are miners, protectors of the sleeping princess. But in older myths, the number 7 carries sacred power. 7 planets guided ancient astrology. 7 heavens were described in Mesopotamian and Jewish mysticism. 7 judges ruled the underworld. The dwarves, then, are not simply miners. They are guardians of cosmic order, keeping watch until prophecy is fulfilled. They protect the maiden in her liminal state, ensuring that when the time comes, she may awaken. In the fairy tale, a prince awakens Snow White with a kiss. But in the older reading, this is not romance, it is rebirth. The maiden rises not because of love alone, but because the prophecy demands balance restored. Darkness cannot hold light forever. The fruit of corruption cannot erase purity eternally. The kiss is the spark, but the awakening is destiny. Thus, the fairy tale hides a prophecy older than kingdoms, older than the Grimm brothers, older even than recorded history. A prophecy of a maiden who falls, a shadow that strikes, and a renewal that always follows. The story of Snow White is not just a tale for children. It is a coded prophecy of 7,000 years, speaking of cycles humanity has never escaped. Innocence lost, corruption rising, renewal awaiting. So the next time you hear the name Snow White, remember, It was never simply about a jealous queen or a poisoned apple. It was about humanity itself, about the eternal struggle between purity and envy, life and death, shadow and light. And this is only the beginning. Prepare yourself for the next untold story, where another legend will reveal the secret truths hidden in plain sight, waiting for those brave enough to see beyond the fairy tale.